Check. Are we here? Am I live?
And there's my co-host. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. Not today's actually no. This morning's been a nightmare. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Um, Give me 1 second here first. Let me just solve this minor audio issue. Can you just say something?
No, I can hear you
Oh,
fine.
you hear me fine? I was
Yep.
having issues on my end. And I can hear you fine. Perfect. I'm not coming through my
Hey,
speakers.
Crystal, how's it going?
Oh, how do I
Good
say?
morning. Good morning. Good morning. How you
We got
doing,
some
brother?
spicy topics to cover.
Yes, we do have a spicy topic today.
Indeed, but before we get to that, let me tell you. Oh my God. After a issue at 5 a.m., I had to go wake up. It was a big thing there, and then I'm taking a shower, and then the water doesn't turn off. And there's a whole elaborate process of taking off the knob, finding the right key, Allen key, Torx key, Robbie Bit, Phillips driver. Long story short, I'm a certified plumber now. You need me to fix your, you need to fix your shower, I can not guarantee anything. I'll say that
Nice, nice.
much. um,
Good
but
morning
yes,
to Colombia. Greetings. Thank you for being on here. Appreciate it. Thank you so
we got people
much.
from Colombia. It's awesome.
Yeah.
How about your morning? How have you been, sir?
Well, we usually schedule these for 10 o'clock, but you know, uh, we had to do a Costco trip, so I had to, you know, happy wife, happy life, man. So the boss won. So we ended up having to go do that. It's pretty crazy going to that place. You know, it's a long bit of a long wait, long lineups. So we're like, okay, let's get this over with because we don't really go there very often. So when we go, we get everything we need and then we out.
I was going to
But
say how like I've seen like pictures on Facebook and on social media like the line's actually like a mile long like with the 2 meter spacing.
yep, and they're pretty long,
Oh,
but they
okay.
go pretty quick, right? So because Costco has so many tellers, like I don't know, 20 tellers or something like that. So
Just
it
like
was
treading.
maybe 35 minutes, 40 minutes in the line. It's all right, not too bad.
People still
I
fighting
just
for
say
toilet paper.
I just hate Costco because every time you go there, it's a fat bill.
Saving
it's
money.
it's always a fat bill, man.
But like no, like for real though, or like are people still fighting over toilet paper, or is that just like a thing?
No,
Is
no,
everyone
no.
like
They
that
have
now?
crates and crates and crates of that stuff
Okay,
now.
okay, so they're ready.
Yeah, they're prepared now, and you're only allowed to take one or two, right?
Right. I've seen others.
So
The other grocery stores in my neighborhood have also put the how do I say for the same contingencies to make sure people don't hoard things as per usual. But yeah, yeah, we usually do this at 10 o'clock. Like we're running on a new schedule here. We're going once a week, but now we're gunning for 3 times a week.
yep, that's the
So we're
plan.
going. So just for everyone, just to let everyone know, we're gunning for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. is the
Yeah.
rough time frame.
Well,
Today was
coffee, coffee time, man. Coffee time.
yeah.
What's going on, Aaron, man? Thanks for coming in here, man. Appreciate it. Been a
Yep.
long time, my friend.
So actually,
Yeah,
see, we got 11 people tuning in right now. Oh, this is
yeah,
great.
it's good. If it's one or 100, it doesn't matter. We're here, man.
No, I'm also I'm also in the process of actually clipping everything too. Actually, no, I already have clipped everything from the last episode. That is available for the public now. You just need to post it. Either way, it's no, it's you got some good takes, Professor. I'll say that much. You got some great takes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, well, you're doing a great job with that, clipping them into more, into more the centralized topic kind of thing. And it's great. I think it's good. You're doing a good job. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I just think I do. I'm starting to think no. I think a YouTube channel it should be on tap soon. But discussion for later. That's a discussion for later. I really think the YouTube channel would be a
Well,
good thing.
I am trying to download these and then post them on the YouTube channel
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I posted the episode one. I'll be probably posting the smaller clips from episode one today, and then
Yeah,
I'll maybe tomorrow I'll post episode two.
sounds
So
good. Sounds
yeah,
good.
and as you're clipping them into the smaller bits, which I really like, by the way, I'll
Mm.
post those up accordingly, right? So yeah.
Uh, it's just interesting with podcast
Hey,
logistics. Honestly, I'm stealing the idea from Joe Rogan if you just look at his channel. But it's like people can't. They're not going to like some of his podcast episodes are like what 3 hours. It's
his
like
is
insane.
long,
Like
man. Yeah.
it's good content. There's no disputing that. But it's just like to actually sit and rifle through that. It's not everyone's cup of tea unless you have a big drive, right? So it's no, it's yeah. It just makes sense. It makes sense. They got a good formula.
Yeah. No, I mean, you got to keep in mind with Joe, he has he has these people on like once in a blue moon. So whenever he has someone, he needs to have them on for at least 3 hours, right?
This is
One
true.
one hour is not 1 hour is not enough. So, but they do a good job as far as like clipping the better parts of the 3 hours and then just dripping them out there. And eventually, if people like it, they just go and watch the full episode, right? So yeah, they got a good format going. But man, he's been doing that for a long time. And hey Stacy, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Oh, we lost a few. That's okay. They don't want to hear about Costco.
I wanna. There's actually one thing I want to. One last thing while we're catching up here. I
Yeah,
noticed
yeah, go ahead.
you put a whole seminar up on the belt guard on the YouTube channel,
Yeah,
which for me, I'm curious. How much more stuff do you have in the archives, sir? You've been pushing out a lot of content. What else can we look forward to?
honestly, I didn't really film myself too much. You know, I'm not a big fan of the camera actually. It's just something that I've kind of become more accustomed to it in the last couple of years. So I have some seminar footages here and there, but I actually have a lot, but they're not great quality. Like they're just camera. You're using phones, and so they're not very good. My problem is like I either don't have a whole lot of stuff recent, and some of the stuff that do have is like really old from years and years and years ago. You can see like with the belt guard, I had that prepared with almost set up as a mini instructional that I was gonna like maybe put on some platform and sell for a few bucks. But I decided to just throw it up for free for everybody to watch.
Remind me to
Eventually,
follow up with.
eventually, I want to get into. I mean, this is the one thing we learned about this whole thing that we're on right now, is that it's really pushing me towards doing more online content and maybe start filming the curriculums for the academy and starting to set up some kind of online platform where people can watch my stuff. You know what I mean? So
Um, I've noticed a lot of the high tiers, like the superstars of the sport, like Marcelo Garcia and like who else is there? Keenan Cornelius is another one that comes to mind. Those guys have they've been on the online trend for a very very long time.
yeah, the
It
Mendez
seems to be like
brothers,
yes, of
the
course.
Mendez, they set the precedence as well. Yeah,
I think
but
it just seems like a
that's just a,
natural
yeah,
direction.
yeah. Well, I'm going to be 100% honest here and just say that I always feel like these gentlemen are so well known and so well established that to me it was always like, man, it doesn't really make sense for someone like me to throw and try and make money with online content when these are the guys you're competing with, like BJJ fanatics and all this other stuff. So I'm like, how do we, someone like me who doesn't have a world championship, compete? But I started to rethink that a little bit and be more like, well, it's not about um, getting all this stuff out there for everybody. It's just getting this stuff out there for my students who want to see me teach and want to see me. They're used to me. They're used to my methodology, and they want to, maybe even just get the curriculums. I do have affiliates that depend on me. So for them, so I started to read things like, man, it's not about, competing with BJJ fanatics. It's about providing for my students and my team and my guys, providing them with, the way I do things. And I think that's what they would rather see, I mean, I'm sure they appreciate getting these videos from these super high level guys, but I think they would also appreciate getting content from me. right?
This is the personal touch. Like, and also you should give yourself more credit, Professor. I mean, like national coach Canada for like JGIF. I mean, come on now. Like, it's not like you're doing good things here. You know, like, give yourself like, come on now. You gotta hype the guy up for him. You know, my goodness. I don't know why you
I don't know, man. I have a hard time doing that. I don't know what it is, man.
It's okay.
You
It's okay.
know.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Don't worry. I got you. No, I definitely as someone who's no, as a consumer as well, I definitely appreciate, like, if I have custom created content for me because I go to like a certain academy. That's a huge, like, look at, sorry, I'm cutting myself off here, but look at the comments. My God, people are already shooting support here for you. You're the best. Rather watch you any day. Come on. There you go.
Yeah,
Let's
yes.
get back to my
So,
point.
sorry, someone just made a comment here. I agree with you. Roy Dean stuff is well done as well. But this is the thing, like that people have to understand with this content, like this putting these online platforms, and I know Michael here is going to agree with me, and that's it's high quality because they have high quality equipment, and that equipment costs money. It's like they have high end cameras, high end lighting, high end, like everything. That's why the videos look amazing. You know, like
So,
even so you can see that in the quality. Sometimes it's like you see them. Oh, they're teaching the technique. Well, everybody's teaching the similar technique, but the quality of the content and it's the same thing with those Gracie kids, man. Everything they put out is super high quality stuff, and that's because of that. The equipment. It comes down to the equipment. If you're using a cell phone versus a $5,000 camera, like it's a big difference.
I, I do agree with you for the most part. I do. I'll fight you. I'll fight you a little bit here. Carlos Rios is chiming. Like,
Yeah, thanks, Carlos.
he's
Thanks for
here
being
too.
here, buddy.
Um, I have some bootleg seminars I have filmed with the permission of the instructor too. While they were there, I did ask them not to release, but it's like it's shot on my potato camera. I shot the entire seminar and I cut it myself. And to be honest, the content's, if you have a good instructor, the content's still like it still
I think
comes
it's
through.
a combination of both. I think, right?
Yeah, it's a combination of
You
both.
know, yeah, it's a combination of both. You have these high level instructors plus high level, um, and a lot of them, like, to be honest, like it's kind of weird because there's different kind of ways to approach it. Like, for example, with the Mendez brothers, all they do is film their classes, right? So it's not like an instructional vibe where the person is talking to the camera and trying to address an audience, right? They just film every class and then cut it and put it up on their platform.
And you're already following the curriculum.
And then
It just
there's
comes off as organic.
yeah, exactly. But there's also, of course, others that they're very articulate. And that's the thing. Like, sometimes world champions, to be a good professor, you don't necessarily need to win a medal. It's about being articulate and how to intelligently get the student to learn the techniques as efficiently and as quickly as possible, right? So that's why you see, like, a lot of these guys out there that have the best content, they're very, very articulate, the John Danaher, like, yeah, like super brainy, right? And then we have guys like the Gracie kids. The guy could sell, like,
Sell anything.
anything he wants. He's a very
He's
smart
like
guy.
Dragon's Den. He has like that hoodie that turns into a backpack. It's like, or
Yeah,
whatever it was. Yeah.
he again, very articulate, very smart. The guy, oh man, what's the guy from Vancouver?
Stephen Keston? Stephen
No,
Keston?
no, the other guy.
Rob
The one,
Bernacki?
yeah. If you same thing.
Yeah.
Very smart guy, very articulate. You watch his videos; they're well done. Not, what the funny thing is, his videos are not the best quality. He's using like a pretty basic camera, but again, very smart, very intelligent, articulate. How to explain things.
It's made me appreciate not even just strictly jiu-jitsu, but teaching in general, professors
Yeah,
of all kinds.
it's a skill. It's a skill.
Lecturing is a good like
A skill that you can develop. Professorship is a skill that you can develop, right? Now, does it help to have experience? Yeah, man. If you're a good instructor and you have a lot of experience, it goes a long way. Hey, Jeff, how you doing, brother? Thanks for coming in here. So
Um,
yeah, listen, absolutely. Like again, those that rise above everybody else and like the cream of the crop, it's you can see the why. And if you don't know why, then that means you're not very intelligent. You know what I mean? Like, um, you know, when we when you know something, you really know how to appreciate it even more. So someone who's been in BJJ for as long as I have, when I see good content, I'm like, yeah, man, that's legit, right? And you have to. I'm always very, very, very big on giving credit where credit is due, man. Whether I like someone or not, or whether I like their content or not, or whether I like the way they teach or not, it doesn't matter. If they are skilled, you gotta respect. Hey, Mark, how you doing, man? I don't know if you noticed, but that picture of the belt guard on the YouTube, that picture, that's you, Mark. That's you, Mark, doing that sweep in the tournament, man. Check it out.
um,
I hope you saw the video online on the YouTube.
if there's one thing I want to add to that, I do like, content's king. If it's good, it's good. You can't. That's undeniable. I think where the high quality production element comes into play is honestly, um, helping attract viewership. I guess there's definitely a difference when you see if you're just scrolling through
No,
YouTube, not even watching the video, like the thumbnail.
no, people.
If you have a good
Yeah,
thumbnail, people like
yeah.
gravitate towards that.
Hmm. Hey, Jim, how you doing, brother? Listen, I think it helps. It absolutely helps. Like people know like the difference between something shot with a shitty camera and something shot with a high end. And and another thing is when you see the high end stuff, it's usually thought out. You know what I mean? Like it was planned, it was organized, it was systemized, and that sells, man. That goes a long way. People like structure. And I've learned that like more and more and more. Like you remember the last kind of lesson we were talking about, like the first time we were talking about class structure and what did I learn and blah blah blah. People love structure. That's why professors out there, curriculums, make sure they know the curriculum, make sure they know what the next class is going to be. It's all posted. It's people like, oh, I know I'm doing this lesson this week, this class, this day. People love that stuff, especially beginners, like especially novices. They need structure. More and more, the more structure you have, the more successful academy you're going to have, the more students you're going to have. Structure and curriculums is key to success in jiu-jitsu.
People, so you don't realize what you don't have until it's gone. Sometimes, like you don't like I remember. Like there's been moments where it's like I didn't realize there's structure in place, and then when I left, I went to a different place. It's just like, oh wow, I really took that for granted. Like it's like it's almost like an intangible thing you don't notice at first. When it's good, it's good. When
Yeah.
it's bad, it's really bad.
Hey, Badral, good to see you, man.
um, with that said, I think it's time to get into our spicy topic of the day.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good, and I think that even that this it was like spontaneous the topic, but it was a good
Mhm.
one. Like the online content, it was a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot more to unpackage here. I have a lot of ideas, and whether live or not live, I would think there's definitely something here to discuss. Bigger picture.
Hmm.
Um, However, I do want to get into our discussion topic, and this is a spicy
Yeah.
one. I just
Just
oh
hey,
man,
just so we're clear, this was your choice.
I know. Okay, let me give everyone some context here. Let me give everyone some context.
Throw
Okay,
you underneath the bus.
I'll take it. I'll take that responsibility. Um, it's just more. I've been doing this. I've been doing this for about 9 years now, and I think it's not really an elephant in the room. I think it's pretty widely discussed. Performance enhancing drugs. Performance enhancing drugs in the in on a, not in the professional circuit. I'm not talking about the UFC today. I don't. We don't. We'll touch on it, but it's more like even like world jiu-jitsu, like world class jiu-jitsu. It's not that. It's performance enhancing drugs on the regional circuit. And I think I think it's a topic worth talking about because there seems to be an interesting stigma around uh, PEDs in general. And let's get the tried and true discussion out of the way, the boilerplate template. Like, just okay, why are drugs bad? What's the case for not doing drugs? What's your take on this, Professor?
Um, well, performance enhancing drugs. I mean, it's a pretty wide range of options these days. Like, but the three major ones we're talking. steroids, HGH, human growth hormone, and testosterone replacement therapy. Those are like the three big ones that everybody tries to get into. Now,
Like, okay, sorry. Yes, please
right.
continue.
Yeah, the bomba. Yes, brother. Yes, Edgar. Yes. Uh, and it comes down to the bad of it. The bad is not necessarily the drugs itself or the usage. It's more about who's giving it to the athlete and how it's being used. If you're doing this stuff under a doctor's supervision, yeah, there's minor side effects, but for the most part, if you're doing it properly with a doctor and all this other stuff, it's these days the quality of the stuff is so much better that you can get away with a lot, and you're not going to have like the side effects you used to have years ago, you know. But the problem is when you're getting the stuff on the street or from a buddy of yours, from a buddy of a buddy, black market stuff, that's when it can become problems. That's when you could end up with a lot of side effects. That's when you if someone's using it incorrectly, you can end up, having health issues and problems. And yes, that's definitely a danger. There's always a danger when you try to modify your body in a way that's not 100% natural,
You're messing with your hormone, like the natural
Yeah,
hormone balance. There's a lot of issues there.
exactly. So that's why you need like a doctor. If you have a doctor who can monitor your blood levels and all this other stuff, then yeah, of course, you could, do very, very well with that. Now, I'm not. I mean, I'm one of those guys that, I don't like the whole idea, but I understand and see why a lot of guys do it and why they are tempted to do it. Competitive sports is really, really, there's a massive temptation there because you want to win so bad and you want to be champion so bad. And for a lot of these guys, that's all they have. And they need it. They need to have success in it in order to, where they justify it because it's going to give them more opportunities later on. So if you're a world champion black belt multiple times, that means seminars. That means opening your own academy. That means reputation. That means more money. So the temptation is going to be greater. And there's also like the idea is like, man, everybody else is doing. How am I supposed to compete? I got to do it too. So that's at the highest level. And it's quite known that there's a majority of a lot of athletes in the IBJJF at the world level are doing, performance enhancing drugs. But the funny thing that I found to be a little bit more amusing, which I found that the World Masters is the worst one. The older guys, because they don't get tested as much as the adults, as the adult division. I don't think they get tested at all. And when you get to your late 30s, 40s, 50s, man, you're naturally slowed down. And if you can go see a doctor and they can prescribe you some TRT or some HGH like that you can take and have, like I said, like, so you see a lot of high level guys in the World Masters and they're like, man, come on, you have the body of a 22-year-old and you're like 50. Come on, man. That's not, it's impossible to do that naturally, So I think the World Masters is like the quiet, the quiet thing. Nobody's talking about it, but I think it's like the worst in the adults, I think, personally, so it is what it is. But as far as the regional circuit, again, let me explain something about, why people get all crazy about it. It's the unfairness of it, right? It's going to definitely, like it's known, it's going to give you an edge, right? It's going to give you a physical edge. You're going to be bigger, stronger, and you can, and that's an important element of competition, right? It comes down to that first, then technique. If you're in good shape, stronger, faster, more flexible, more determined because, you feel good, you're going to have better performances. But it's also unfair because if you can potentially hurt people because of that, if you're physically, when you put on an arm bar, when you put on the choke with that much strength, that much power, you can injure people. So that's the main thing that people look at is one, it's unfair. And two, you going to potentially injure people. And that's never, that's never a good thing. But so people understand those, like the advantage is not so much in the competition itself. You still have to be a good fighter. You still have to be a good competitor. You know what I mean? You still have to have skills.
Sorry, it's funny to me because it's like the image I have is like it's like that same guy with like the really tough looking guy with cauliflower ear, and like it's like, I must have been doing this for a while, and it turns out he still sucks, technically speaking.
Yeah,
right? It's like he's a jacked guy, but it's not technically sound, right?
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily mean it gives you an advantage technically. What the PEDs do is give you an advantage in the training room. Here's what I mean. Because it helps with injuries, you can train more, you can train more often, you could put more mat time, and that's the true advantage. Because when guys get hurt, oh man, they can't train. But okay, you go on these performance enhancing drugs, you recover from injury really quickly. And you can train more often, put more mat time. And that's where you're gonna have the advantage, in when you compete, is because, you're better prepared and you have more mat time. And of course the physical attributes. So all of that adds up, and it's not, it's not a good thing, it's unfair, but it's one of those things that honestly, I hate to say it, but it's kind of out of our control, man. There's no governing body, there's no anybody testing, especially in the local circuit. I mean, if you're talking about the local tournaments, the local promoter can't afford to bring WADA in or whatever, like USADA or whatever it is it's WADA, right? The world, because
WADA is the organization that sets the rules. WADA is like an organization that enforces those rules.
It's not cheap to bring. Why do you think the IBJJF only like tests a few, and they only test like podium guys who get on the podium, and it's only a few of them, because they can't afford to test everybody. They just can't.
Especially since the regional tournaments are like a couple hundred people. I think like Ontario Open 2 years ago, a year or two ago was like 1,500, 1,800 people, something.
Almost over 2,000 last year, man.
There you go. Over 2,000 last year. Jeez.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty certain it was over 2,000 last year. It was crazy.
That's all.
Oh man, he does a good job. He's a very good promoter. No, I mean, and that's the thing, is there's no way to control it, so there's no way to, and people's egos are like, usually when you have problems, it's ego or money, right? So a lot of people's human ego is fragile most of the time, and I think that they want to win so bad, that people want to win so bad that they feel the need to do that, and people like, everybody assumes that everybody's a good person. You know what I mean? And that is far from the truth. Like there's really good people, there's okay people, and there's really shitty people, right? So some people don't care. They don't care that they're doing this stuff and they're getting away with it, and they're perfectly content beating up on guys and taking that medal, even though what they're doing is ethically wrong. So I mean, here's something I have a pet peeve for. But I can also be a hypocrite and say, well, maybe if I was in the same situation, I would do the same. I'm not in the same situation, so I can't really say if I would do the same. But I don't like when world level athletes, like if you are in the top 5 in the world for IBJJF ranking, right? And you're in the top 5 in the world. I don't care, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt. You are in the top 5 in the world. Why would you compete in a local small tournament, right? Where, you just go in there and you mangle everybody in your division.
It looks bad. You're punching down. Like, nobody wants to see it.
And you celebrate afterwards. Come on, man. I just think that's terrible, but I'm older now. When I was younger, I'd probably be like, whatever, I don't care, beat them up, right? But as I get older, you start to change things a little bit. You start to see humanity a little bit different, and you become wiser, I think, in some ways. And I just think it's like, man, that's just like, your professor should say, man, like, what are you doing? Like, you should, if you're that good, you should be only doing IBJJF tournaments.
Go challenge. Go pursue greater challenges.
Yes, of course.
You're clearly better than that if you're willing to go this far.
I just feel bad for. Luckily I have good athletes that can push back, You know, most of the time my guys can push back. I just see sometimes the other guys like, man, you have a blue belt who trains 3 times a week, who loves to compete, but man, always runs into this guy and gets mangled every time. Like it's it's pros and cons, right? Pros and cons. Like it's good for the sport for the guys to see these high level guys locally, right? But it's bad for the sport because they're gonna, they're not allowing the next wave to mature and get better with experience.
It's like
You know,
actual gatekeeping. It's not just like in terms of
yeah,
just social settings. Like they're actually being gatekeepers to the medals, right? So
yeah. I think if you get to a certain level, move on. It's like okay, you did great at the amateur circuit. You're an amateur champ multiple times. Okay, move on. Go to the pros, right? Pros should not be fighting in amateurs. And that's how I see it. I see, okay, IBJJF, that's the pros, or the Abu Dhabi Pro, and a bunch of other high, big level where you have to travel to JJIF, right? Okay, you should be chasing those down, right? You're already a local champ. You prove absolutely nothing. Oh, because you need matches. Come on, man.
that's you can prep for that in your own time in the mats, right? Like if
I
you're
don't.
winning local
Again, there's
tournaments, you
nothing
have
I
one.
could. There's nothing we can do about it. These things are gonna happen no matter what. I'm just stating my opinion on it. It's gonna keep happening too. You're gonna keep seeing it, and because they can justify it, like I said, by saying, well, we need competition time, we need competition minutes. But at the same time, it's like, what competition minutes? I mean, you're embarrassing these guys. You know, you're beating them up in like less than a minute. How is that competition experience? So it's a double-edged sword. You can't win. It's the same, both things, like trying to control that and trying to control performance enhancing drugs. These are things that have been an issue for years, and they're going to keep being an issue for years to come. And these are out of my control. You can't, as a professor, even if my athlete comes to me and is like, hey, I want to do that, I can't be like, oh, no way, get out of my academy. I don't approve this. No, man, it's like, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's on you. But, in my opinion, I'm not for it, but you're a grown ass adult. If you, all I'd say is like, if you're going to do it safely, do it as safely as you can. Go see a doctor, whatever, get as much information, make sure you're doing it properly if you're going to do it, but I want not
Don't
to,
spread it around the
but
gym.
yeah, but for me, yeah, don't spread it around the gym. But for me, I like keep it to yourself, right? But for me, it's like I want nothing to do with it. Like
Um,
this is the first and only time we're gonna have this conversation. You know?
no, it's not. We know it. I want to address the
No,
elephant in the room.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
if I speak to a
Oh,
student about PEDs,
oh, I see,
it's
I see, I see.
one conversation. I'm never gonna
Yeah,
talk to you about it again because I want nothing to do with it. I was like,
fair enough.
that's your choice. Good luck, but I'm not gonna kick him out of the training room. And I'm gonna start keeping an eye on him to make sure that there's no issues in the training room with him or her.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
make sure there's no issues that
You don't want to
then.
see like that rage. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
think.
I'm saying that as just like a stereotype. I have
Yeah, that
seen
is
like
what
some.
it is. That's the thing. If you do it properly, right? Like I said, if you do it properly, you don't see a whole lot of that side effect stuff, the roid rage and all this other stuff. But if you do it, if you don't know what you're doing and you're overdoing it, not cycling properly or whatever it is that they do, then uh, it is what it is. Like you just make sure. Again, if I know someone's on it and they're one of my students in their training, I can only keep an eye on it. I can't necessarily kick them out. It's not.
You're not going to be
That's
as life coach or something. It's not your
yeah,
responsibility.
not
What
my
to do with. They're going to mess with their hormones as they will.
That's up to them,
Um,
right? It's like, again,
I
I
want.
don't listen. What you do with your body, right, and your mind, like I said, as long as you're not injuring anyone and you're not malicious and you're not like being a complete dick, that's you, man. Whatever you want to do is on you, man. But as if you start to injure guys in training, if you start having like a bad attitude, if you start like then I'm like, sorry, you gotta go. You gotta go because
At the
it's
end of
not
the day,
what.
it's safe.
Yeah, at the end of the day, safety. Always safety. Always.
I
Number one.
want to change the. I want to change the framework here just a little bit. So we've talked about. I guess we just covered on why it's unfair. competitive advantages and whatnot.
Aí, Gabriel. Obrigadão, hein? Valeu, abraço. Okay, go ahead.
We've talked about how it's unfair because it gives you competitive advantages. You can choose to do it if it's if it's your own choice. You're your own person. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
However, don't cheat other we don't want to cheat other people out of their matches and whatnot. I want to shift the framework though. I want to take the competitive aspect out of this. Is there a case for legitimate performance enhancing drug use in jiu-jitsu on a recreational level? We're taking competition out. It's just like,
Yes.
do you think there's like exceptions to the rule? Like when
Yes.
is that when is that cool?
Yes. Injuries, bad injuries, back injuries, shoulders, knee injuries. It's quite known that these things can help with recovery. That's the main reason why a lot of people take it. It's not just to get big or strong. It helps with recovery. If you have injuries, you can recover so much faster, right? So yes, there's a case for doing it if you have a really bad, if you have bad injury, back injury, or something that takes a long time to recover, then these things can help a lot, But and again, this is for recovery for injuries, not just because I want to get bigger, faster, stronger, If you're doing it just for the ego, it is what it is. It's the ego, right? But if you're doing it because you have injury, I'm all for it, man. Like if I had to have neck surgery again, I would definitely talk to a doctor and go, hey man, I need to, what else? Can I do this? Can I do that? What are my options? It wouldn't just be like, oh, physiotherapy, recovery, and man, I'm 45. I would need a little bit more than that. I'd probably need some steroids or something, maybe maybe TRT, something to help me with the recovery for sure.
I want to, you know what? I want to circle back to that in a second because that's a very interesting point you just brought up in regards to like something serious neck surgery, particularly yours especially. However, my social circles are such that everyone's still fairly under 30, if not approaching 30. I don't see a lot of older gentlemen that are at the point where it's like they're really really injured or damaged. Do you know? I take it you've seen or you have peers that have gone on testosterone replacement therapy or some sort of
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus.
Oh, no names.
Myself, I have never taken anything in my life. Never.
But
that's why I'm mangled. That's why I'm in such terrible, like horrible right now. My shoulders and my neck are really bad. When you hold pads for professional fighters for 10 years, you can't expect your shoulders to be that great. You know what I mean? So, but hey, Kevin, thanks for tuning in. Listen, I think.
Sorry, the way I was phrasing that question, I don't want to make sound.
Yes, no. Listen, lots of my training partners took stuff when back in the day when we were doing MMA. Yeah, some guys did go. Some guys went that route. Yeah.
And if we want to just take judgments aside,
some for ego, some for injuries.
No, and if it was sticking strictly just to the injuries, did you notice was it a dramatic recovery time decrease? Because I'm like,
yes.
it's actually rich.
Yeah.
So it's not noticeable.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of something without revealing a name?
Well, we're looking at if you have for example a lower back injury, and you can barely walk, and then you go, you put on muscle, you put on size, and you get a little bit bigger, and then 3 months later you're training hard again, where if normally lower back problems, if you don't do or anything or take anything, you're looking at 6 months. You know what I mean?
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So it's you're cutting the recovery time in half sometimes, right?
This isn't just really trivial, I tweaked my knee. This is my back was severely messed up. I couldn't walk.
Yeah, if you're having a hard time moving, you're and it seizes up on you and you can't train at all, then it does happen. Yeah, it can be. It can be, yeah. So, I mean,
Oh, fair enough. No. I think that's a legitimate thing. Injuries are a thing.
I still think that what I said in the last coffee time. If you train regularly and you are in the best shape of your life, you work out and you eat healthy and you train a lot and you are technically sound, you can compete with anybody, steroids or not, PEDs or not, right? Because you still have to be good technically,
At the
right?
end of the day, that is a baseline level. Like, you do that
At the end of the day, you need to be a good jiu-jitsu fighter, right? Okay, get stronger, get fitter, be healthy, get that cardio to, because it's all about cardio, right? Get that cardio to the max and go, 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 go. And sometimes it's even better because it's all about cardio. And that's the one thing, like PED users, they're good, but it depends on what kind of PED, right? Because sometimes if you put on a lot of bulk and you don't know how to use it, you run out of gas. You get tired really quickly. So you have a massive advantage for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And then the last 2 minutes, you're huffing and puffing, right? Right? So again, I still think you can do it naturally and be amazing and be really, really good, but it just requires more effort, more work. And, and some people are trying to cut corners, right? They're trying to reduce that, right? If I can train half the time and have the same results, like, that's tempting, right? It's tempting.
You bring up an interesting point. It's the cardio. It's not necessarily the strength of the explosives. It's the cardio. And
Cardio,
a friend,
cardio. Because you don't
cardio,
need, if you're cardio and grip strength.
yeah.
If you're in a gi, right?
Yes, just making sure
Cardio,
your grips don't burn out.
grip strength and cardio, you can compete with anybody.
Um,
You don't need, I think, necessarily to be as physically strong as the other person,
right.
right? You can nullify, be smart, use your guard, your hip movement, as long as you're cardio and you keep a high pace and you can break grips, you're going to be fine. But
mutual.
I mean, but at the
Yes.
highest level, man, like here's the thing. You have to consider like the levels of this, like levels, right? So if I train all the time and I'm technically sound, my cardio is amazing. Plus I'm, enhanced physically. That's what, when you're looking at the black belt world level adults, man, that's what it is. That's why people do it. It's because, okay, the guy trains as much as I do, puts in as much time as I do on the mat, plus he's enhanced. Well, if I don't enhance myself, then,
How
right?
do you even beat that? Like, you're just missing a variable. Like, they're playing with three variables. You only have two. It's like,
Yeah,
how do you compensate
yeah.
accordingly? Right.
I'm not trying to put the sport down. There's tons of guys out there that are super successful and don't take anything, and they just beasts of the sport. Like someone who was very, very outspoken about PED use was Lucas Lepre, and man, he's beast, right? And he's a monster. And look at him. He says he's never done anything in his life, and he's a multiple-time world champion. So there's lots of guys out there that are just special. Like they're just special from who they are. You know what I
Coyote
mean?
comes to mind. I'm not sure about recently, but
Yeah.
at least in 2011, he did that post about like
Yeah.
he had a a win where he just like he threw like technique can overcome steroids just to the mic.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So I no, I think there's something that says about that. Like, if your technique is pure, it's like it
so
really.
there's someone asking a question here. What would I tell one of your students if they were on PDs? What would I tell him? I think we discussed that already. But all I can say is give him pros and cons. Why, again, pros and cons. Here's the pros, here's the cons. Ultimately, if you're an adult, it's your decision. I don't tell it. This is one thing I highly disagree. I am not a dictator. I give pros and cons. I talk to my students and I give you the pros and cons. You're a grown ass adult. You can make your own decisions.
This is a no. I lost track of the clock for a second. This is a good time to get into Q&A here. Let's see. I'll
Oh
go
yeah,
from the top
damn.
down.
We
Yeah,
got
we're
15
looking.
minutes left.
We blew through this
So
quick, man. I feel
any
like we only scratched the surface.
yeah, any questions, guys, please. Anything in regards to anything. It doesn't have to be on today's topic. We got about 15 minutes left on the live here, so ask some questions, please. Thanks
If
for the thumbs up, Kevin. Appreciate you
if
being on here.
if we're going back to the, actually the online content question, which is actually a good topic, maybe worth discussing for a Monday. Um, someone asked, like someone just mentioned, dropped the comment of a lot of, like, so a lot of these guys probably have some sort of director of some sort, which I think is actually like a big cue. That's actually not something to gloss over. Like you
Well,
have someone
listen,
just directing the flow.
hey,
Yeah, it comes down
you
to
know what
it.
I mean? Like, yeah, it's if you're gonna a director means you got to pay someone, and you keep in mind like these when you see the high end stuff, these are money making individuals, people who have money who can invest in that kind of quality, right?
And at a certain point, it just snowballs, right? You spend money and you'll get more
Yeah,
return. Right?
yeah. When I like to use the Gracie family as a those Gracie kids, Henry hit on because when you have 400 CTC centers, like certified training centers, who I don't know if it's fact or not, but I've heard that they pay 400 US a month for the CTC to be able to use the Gracie name. Okay, if you have 400 times $400 a month, how much is how much are you bringing in? Just saying, man.
Jeez. Yeah.
Just saying.
You're doing well already at that point.
So you can buy
Uh,
any equipment you want at that point, right?
Eddie Jr. 85 brings up an interesting comment. Even the punishments aren't that harsh in regards to performance enhancing drug usage.
Well, they
When
used
you
to
come to
be
testing.
like they used to be. Like here, I'm gonna throw some people on the bus here. So one of the Meow guys got popped, and he was banned for 2 years, I think.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Was
that's
it
actually a good
two?
point.
Was it 2 years?
I didn't follow it that
Or
closely,
was
but I
it
do remember
more?
hearing about that. It was
Okay.
something
Well,
substantial.
Kind
Point
and
is,
Duart just popped, and he got like eight,
oh
eight, 8 months,
yeah,
like almost nothing. Oh, because my thing was contaminated, and everybody's thing is contaminated now,
I think you
right?
got like
But
yeah,
look
it's
at
just
look at
consumer
look at
levels.
come on, but look at that dude. Look at that dude. Come on, man. I know he trains hard and he's a hard worker and he's a phenomenal fighter, man. That guy is amazing. But there's a question mark there now, right? There's always going to be a question mark on that guy's name now. But
I don't think it's
he's getting off easy because somehow I think again there are contaminated supplements out there, you know, that these supplement companies, they want to get an edge on one another, so they start contaminating their products so people get results. And then they're
I
like,
see.
oh wow,
I
you
see.
know, if I'm getting results, it's a good product. So, and then
Look,
again, it's one of those things, right?
okay, well, or specifically Canon. I think he I forgot what the exact name of the substance he tested positive for, but I think it was a consumer brand version of a certain kind of steroid
Hmm.
or like
Yeah, yeah.
a hormone enhancer. The point was is like it was like from an economical standpoint, it made sense for like a jiu-jitsu practitioners to be taking that kind of substance because
Hmm.
the higher designer stuff is more expensive, right? It's not as easy accessible versus this stuff. It's like I don't know. Why do I know so much about this? That's a discussion for another day. However, it was
there's
like in the
there's
ballpark of
a
something reasonable-ish,
yeah, there's a
like a thousand
lot.
dollars ish.
Yeah. So, but the only bad thing for him is he lost the world title. Like he got the title taken away from him,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
So
Yeah.
he's not now no longer considered like last year's world champion or something like that. So he may have lost some prestige, but man, he's so young. He's gonna win another 5 or 6 at least. So
Hmm.
but anyway, just to kind of cap this off a little bit, um, I think you got to go like one way or the other because this in the middle, back and forth. Either hey, put the money in, invest,
Right.
and test everybody, or man, just who cares? Let everybody be on it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if everybody's on it, then it's a level playing field, right?
It seems like it's a PR stunt at this point. You just don't want to look bad, right?
Yeah. Right now it's just like people don't like. There's always a stigma of like if you're a PED user, you're a cheater, right? You're a cheater, right? That's what you're gonna be labeled with. You're a cheater, right? And that's to a certain extent, that's true. That's true, right?
Oh,
You have an advantage that a lot of the others don't have.
we're getting a ton of questions. Oh my God, this is great, but we're running out of
Make it
time
quick. We
too.
got 10 minutes. Address them
Look,
because I'm not seeing any. Are you? Oh,
I am.
mine's not moving though. That's why.
Fair enough. I'll get to this. Nicholas chimes in. Paulo got 2 year ban. So
Yeah,
yeah, you were
yeah.
correct. From yeah, from I Am Dreamfire. You mentioned your old buddy Monkey last time. Is his name from his grip strength? I see him with you all the time in old school shots. Legend.
Yeah, man, for sure. Monkey's a beast, man. He's amazing. He's amazing. He's I don't know. I mean, I see it from my point of view, and I am clearly biased, but pound for pound, the best of our generation. You know, the best of my generation, the best. Pound for pound. He was 140 pounds, man. Come on. Pound for pound, one of the best of our generation, no doubt. And he's still going strong, and and his age is still going like beast mode, you know?
I remember I was in New York and like nothing planned, and I was doing the New York IBGF SummerSlam, and I was just walking through, and all of a sudden I just see him sitting in the bleachers, just getting ready for a match. I was like, oh, like, you're still competing, like man, that's awesome.
No, he's awesome, man. He's fantastic. Yeah.
There's some
Like
that's
I'm like the pride that comes from me from knowing him, from training with him all those years.
that
You
generation.
know, he kicked my butt all the time, and he was amazing. And I think like if I have like a certain technical ability, or if I had some success in my career, a lot of it had to do with those guys helping me out. But Monkey is specifically Monkey because we trained together a lot. So he's amazing.
This is the topic. Like this is this topic in general. The old, like your specific members of your old guard, right? I think that's actually it's an episode in itself. We got a lot of things to get through here.
Yeah.
Another great question from Branded Hair on Leatherworks. Professor, what is your view on CBD and THC while using the medicinal sense while training?
I was, and I'm trying to get back on the CBD thing. It helped me a lot with my neck pain. I just got derailed a little bit with some stuff, and you know, dealing with an academy and business and stuff like that. It became harder to track and all that. But I highly recommend CBD because it's probably the best natural anti-inflammatory you can take. So for pain is amazing, and CBD for pain is fantastic. THC, same thing, like a combination. But again, make sure you know what that works with you and what doesn't work with you, because there's different strands and stuff like that. Like myself personally, I do well with one, I don't do so well with another. So you really, again, you have to be educated and educate yourself. And yes, you can abuse that as well. Like too much, too much pot, I guess you could say, or whatever it is too much, man. You eventually your body becomes codependent and stuff like that, and you don't like function the same way without it. So you're gonna be dependent on it. And then this is fact. You can like read up into it. You know what I'm saying? But it does help. CBD does help a lot with pain. And my big issue I have is I don't like guys coming in to train if they have been smoking.
Oh,
I don't like it for a
so
couple of
that's a
reasons.
spice topic.
Oh, but you get more creative. I don't care, man. You get more creative, that means you take more risks, which means you're putting the others that you are training with at risk because you're going to do something stupid and potentially hurt them. So this is the big thing I have against guys training if they have been smoking. It's not not fair because you're not giving the other guys like, hey, I'm like this, so you know what I mean? Like,
Also, keep in mind, you're under the influence
yes, you
of
can
something, right?
listen. All I'm saying is you can, but control the dosage so you are still highly functional. You know, that you don't come in completely baked and be like, you know, and then you can see it. You can see it. I can tell. Lots of guys have come into training, open mats and stuff like that, and even sometimes for class. And I'm like, man, really? Come on, man. Like, you're not. The main thing I have is if it's a structured class, they're not focusing. They're not. You know, they're not paying attention. They're a little bit, you know, up in the clouds.
It's caught
You
in their own
know,
head.
yeah, caught in their own head. So I don't really like that too much. If
I've
like
definitely noticed it
if you're
myself.
gonna do it because you have anxiety, if you're gonna do it because you're stressed out about the training or about your day, okay, but control your dosage so you're still highly functioning. You can still, you know, be in class and be and follow the class, and you know, and you still people can still have, you know, conversation with you. And if you come for open mat, same thing. Don't do it where you went too far and you're like, you know, out there somewhere, because it's a safety thing. I find with guys is they take more risks. They want to be more creative. They want to be more flowy. They want to do all this kind of stuff. And it's risky sometimes. I don't want you doing that and hurting anybody, right? So that's my main thing. Like, I don't care what you do. You're a grown ass adult, as long as you're not putting anybody else at risk, right? And especially in my academy, man. Like, especially in my academy. So I'm not against it, but it is what it is. Wow, we've gone over the hour and we're still. Oh no, we have 5 minutes.
We have 5
minutes left.
Okay, let's see what else do we got here.
Make one more, quick one.
Oh, I want to know. I want to know if it's true if BJ Penn was trying to seek out Monkey when he first came to Toronto.
I mean, I've heard that before too, but if it's fact or not, I don't know. Could be urban legend shit.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've heard a number of interesting urban legends about the guy myself, actually.
Yeah, he's out there.
You know what? If we go to the very bottom setting, very bottom, it looks like we are out of the questions. But I think I want to take one quick one for myself.
Yeah, quick.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on painkillers for training camp, out of training camp, just recreational training?
Man, that's another whole story, man. Like, you're talking about opioids.
So I'm not talking about like your extra strength Advil Tylenol. I'm talking about maybe like if your doctor's prescription and then training while you're taking that.
Well, it's fine if it reduces the. Listen, the only thing with that is you got to be careful with again, if you're doing it and you're not functioning properly, because some of these could be you can get groggy and stuff like that, right? Or if you're severely injured and you're masking the injury and the pain by taking a lot of painkillers and still training, that's dangerous. You can, like, if you have an injury and it's a serious injury, you need to take care of it. Like, but if you're masking it with drugs and still training, it's gonna bite you in the ass long run, man. It's gonna bite you in the ass long run.
You have any experience of not you particularly, but have you ever seen people abusing? Like, can you tell? Has it been an issue?
Well, lots of people have abused painkillers because they have injuries. Lots of people.
Strictly in the context of jiu-jitsu, I'm not talking about just like.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because remember, if you train hard, you have a lot of the bad injuries. So shoulders, knees, neck. If you have any of those, shoulders, knees, and neck, man, those take so long to heal sometimes, so long to recover, that people want to roll so bad that they're willing to risk it, you know? Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, honestly speaking, that's all I got. We got 4 minutes left according to my time. So I mean, just let this peter out.
Yeah, we have a dollar. We have 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
Seconds.
I'm getting a warning here saying it. Well, listen, everybody that tuned in today, thank you so much. Here's Mike saying he was dependent on Tylenol. Man, I know, brother. I know, brother. I've never been dependent on anything, but I know about pain. I know a lot about pain, right? And chronic pain, which is the worst. So it was fantastic, everyone. Thank you for the support, for coming in. We had much better viewership today, which is great. So maybe, Michael, maybe we should consider noon better than 10 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, seriously, noon seems actually a way better time slot.
Yes,
Please, if you guys see the post, comment.
¿Cómo estás, Jalepa? Tranquilo.
Comment, like, subscribe, whatever it takes. Just please let us know your info. We would love to hear. We'd love to keep in contact with you guys too.
Peace out, guys. Much love and respect.
Cheers.
We'll see you Monday, probably at noon now.